Good morning. Happy day, everyone. Happy day. Oh my gosh. So, I finally got the author copy. Woo! This is such a treasure to finally hold in my hands. This is my brand new author copy of the Cinderella Monologues. Check out the back. Look at all those beautiful photos of our courageous women writers included in this collection of stories of women overcoming adversity to thrive. And it's all here. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. So I can't help but feel a little bit giddy because all week long, I mean, for several weeks now, I've been interviewing each and every single author, and I've read drafts or had heard in conversations when we got our author meetings a little bit about their story, but to finally see something in print, full screen, to read the full length, full on professionally edited chapter is truly magical. I'm so thrilled to have this in my hand, and you can get your copy too. So we are live on Amazon this Saturday. Yes, tomorrow, October 22nd, 2022. So you can grab your copy tomorrow. So go do that right now. And there's nothing like feeling a book in your hands. And it does really feel like birthing a baby. Because we had a midwife. You could call Mila the midwife. And you could call our professional editor, Mariah, sort of like the doula. And of course, all of the women included in our sisterhood. So be sure to go get your copy today. And today's theme is, in thinking about Cinderella, I really love the musical remake, right, that we've been talking about in the previous segments. The musical remake has Cinderella as like the unlikely fashion designer. She loves dresses, she loves fashion, and she aspires, instead of like going after the prince, to become a fashion designer. And I have to wonder, what if she became an unlikely advocate, right? Just because of the childhood she experienced, the abuse, from her family, if that would have prompted her later on in school to perhaps become an advocate for others who had a similar abusive childhood or childhood trauma, or perhaps she might go into the legal profession and advocate for others that way. So next up, we've got Dena Nielson, and she wrote her chapter called The Unlikely Lawyer. So that's where I'm making that correlation. And so get this, at the age of 41, she decided to go back to school and get her law degree, went for the bar, everything, and was practicing family law attorney for a very long time, retired from that, and then found a renewed purpose in helping other women, professional women who are going through a divorce with their children, and helping them to find new meaning, a new life after the divorce. And so she's also known nowadays as a divorce consultant and has a full-on package, everything from the book on common sense divorce, through a webinar, masterclass series, speaking, coaching, you name it, mentoring other women as a divorce consultant to really help them and their children to thrive and find a new beginning, because the divorce may just be a new beginning. So please, everyone, help me welcome Dena Nielson. Ta-da! Woo! Hello, Nita.
Hello, Olivia. What are you doing? Just so excited.
Always excited. You would be too if you got the author copy in your hands. I know you're waiting. I know you're yeah. So I hopefully will arrive to you, because I know you've been busy packing and moving. You're currently in Texas, but you've got these empty bookshelves because everything's packed and ready to go for Colorado. So I'm hoping the books make it to you in the middle of transit.
Oh yeah. I'll make sure of that.
And I just absolutely love your story. And so many of the previous authors, I didn't get to read the full story, right? And so I was really pleased to read your full story, and how incredible that was to have like a second act and to go back to school at that age. And then, you talked about this like very non-linear career path, and I absolutely was like very inspired by that.
That's very true.
Excellent.
I actually started school like at age 35, and I graduated law school at 41. So I didn't mess around. I had 21 hours one semester. I mean, I was getting with it.
You on a mission. I can see it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And talk a little bit about why you chose family law.
Well, it's more or less family law chose me, I think, would be a better way to put it. When I first graduated, I worked with a Indian man named Brownie Pipestem. He had a firm there in Norman, and I clerked for him during law school, and then I just stayed there. And of course, no matter what kind of practice you have, generally family cases will come by. Well, they will come by, and he wasn't going to do that, so it was up to me to do those. And so I did that when I was working with him, and then ultimately I moved to Denver. Mr. Pipestem passed away, and I moved to Denver, and I worked with another firm. And again, I did all the family law cases. And then when I decided, you know what, I could do this on my own and make a lot more money. So I opened my own firm, and all I did was family law. And I thought, first I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to starve to death here. But that's not what happened at all. People, put up a website and people lined up to come into the office. I mean, it was crazy. But yeah, that's how I got into family law. And of course, in law school, I loved family law class. And I had the professor that actually wrote the book. So, and is well known, but he really inspired all of us, I think, in that class. So it was, just something I've always done and been interested in, I think.
So you've already written a book before, pertaining to your specialty. And so how is the writing of that book different from this time around?
Well, that book is a lot longer for one thing. It's a whole book. But I think this was a lot different because, when you're writing about your expertise, which is what common sense divorce is, there's a way you do that, and you're giving advice and you're telling people what they should and shouldn't do and that sort of thing. This story that we wrote for the book, Mila said, just write the story and see how many words you have, and then either add to it or cut it back or whatever you need to do to be within the guidelines. I said, okay. Well, so the guideline max was 5,000 words, right? So I write the story, and I had over 10,000 words. So yeah.
Your first draft had 10,000 words?
I'm pretty wordy, yeah. So then I'm like cutting, trying to take out everything that I thought wasn't, had to be said this time around. So I ended up right under 5,000 words. So wow. That was a little different because with my book, when I wrote the book, I didn't have any guideline. I mean, there's no max or, anything like that. I was trying to keep it under 200 pages, which I did. But yeah, so that was a little bit different. And two, when you're writing a story like this for an anthology book, it's much more personal, and it's much more, should I say that? Should I not say that? That kind of thing. So you're weighing your words, I think, a little bit more carefully. At least I did. I don't know.
No, I think that's a great phrase, weighing your words, right? Just for the right emphasis and for the right audience, right? This is a totally different audience.
It is. Yes.
So yeah, awesome. And, I just really liked how you had, looks like such a chronological narrative. Like I could follow you.
Yeah.
Throughout, the different stages of your career, and talk a little bit about how, like, when you finished one stage and then you were prompted to, like, okay, expand, like, what was that like? Okay, finished a book, now what? Now your common sense.
Well, here's the thing. I've always wanted to write a book, and I think every lawyer wants to write a book, at least one. I think all lawyers dream about that, think about it. They want to be John Grisham, whatever. But you just keep stumbling forward. Someone told me one time that you just have to keep stumbling forward, and that's pretty much what I've always done. I mean, I went to law school. I worked in Indian law, and then I worked in family law. And then when we retired, my husband and I both are the same age, so we retired at the same time. And I thought it was going to be so great. And I got here to Texas and got my house all set up and everything. And then I'm like, okay, this is not cool. So I'm sitting around here doing nothing and, working in my yard and going to, meetings and whatever. I said, no. So and it just so happened that that was about the same time as the lockdown happened, the pandemic thing. And so I thought, well, this is perfect. I'll write the book during this time that I have to be at home anyway. So that's what I did. And I had a wonderful book coach, and she helped me so much. And so we got the book done in 8 months, which I thought it would take a lot longer than that. But she did too. She was like, you did this in 8 months. But, we got the cover and got everything done, got the book out. We had a book launch, not like this one's going to be, but it wasn't near as fancy. But yeah, and you just keep moving to the next phase. So after I got the book done, then I started seeing things about online courses, and I thought, wow, that's really great. I'm going to do that. So I did that, and now I'm doing another one. So and I'm trying to I'm on summits and speaking and that sort of thing. So I think that's important, especially for authors. You need to be able to get your message out through more than just writing the book, so, or the story or whatever. So I think that's important. But I think that's just what everybody does. You just move through the phases of life, and you don't have a choice really. So.
Excellent advice, Dena. I love that. Keep stumbling forward, and perhaps and sometimes things fall into your lap, or things that you trip over that you never really expected
Very true.
to happen. Yeah. So I kind of like that. This was here all along, and I can use it. And I love what you're saying just now, like, get your message out there in more than one channel, right? Like, keep expanding upon that. Like, you start with a book, and then you're being interviewed, you're on speaking summits, you're on the speaking circuit. So that's great. For something like divorce and divorce consulting, I mean, what does the course entail? You've got the book. Is it like a how-to book? I'm just curious, like, how's your book structured, and then how's the course structured? And is it sort of like DIY?
Okay, so the book basically has 10 steps to save you time, money, and worry. That's the subtitle of the book. So there are 10 chapters, and it goes from when you have, when couples first start feeling that they're unhappy and they need to do something, and they try this and they try that and nothing works. And so now, are we going to get a divorce? Or are we going to stay? What are we going to do? So that's the first chapter, and how to consider those things. And you should take that phase very seriously, because generally, once you go through with a divorce, you're going your separate ways. And is that really what you want? And a lot of people, it is what they want. That's exactly what they want, right? And then we go through how to hire an attorney, which I think is probably one of the most important chapters in the book, because that's going to determine how your case goes. And so you need to be very careful about who you hire, and be sure that that person is your, an attorney for you, and not your best friend or your mother or your, whoever. So, and a lot of times, especially if you're very young, like I was 23, first time I got divorced. No, I gave that away, didn't I? But I didn't know how to hire an attorney. My mother did it for me, right? And so, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, if you're older and you're, you have substantial assets. I mean, we didn't have anything, so it didn't matter. But if you have substantial assets or liabilities, then you really need to be careful about who you hire, and be sure it's the right person. There are a lot of attorneys, and they all have different personalities, and your personality might not mesh with every single one of them. So you just need to be careful when you go in to talk to the attorney for the first time. You want to be sure that he's or she is listening to your story, because you're the one that matters here, not them. And a lot of times I've heard lawyers just give their canned speech, and they don't They don't care what the client says because I'm telling you, right? I never did that. I would listen to their story, and sometimes it would, the initial consultation is supposed to be 30 minutes long. Well, I have spent an hour to an hour and a half with people in the initial consultation because their their case was going to be very complex, so they had this situation or that situation. So those are the kind of things covered in that chapter, and then we move on to preparing your financials and preparing for trial and going to mediation and just all the steps that you have to take. And then even after the divorce, we talk about co-parenting and dating and you know everything that comes later, all the way up to how to raise stepkids. So assuming you have another relationship and then you may have that situation. So it's just kind of it's a real just a brief, really a brief overview of all those things. So I didn't want to get too technical, and I didn't want to give any legal advice. That's the other thing. So I tried not to do that. But I think it's helpful for a lot of people. I know I've had several people contact me and say that they wish they had that when they got divorced, 30 years ago or whatever. And I'm like, well, 30 years ago, I wasn't writing a book. So, but the course too is kind of built on that same model. It's the first course that I did kind of covers the same material, only in a different way, just a more interactive way. And then now I've done a course, or they're preparing it now, but there's a course for co-parenting as well, different aspects of that.
Wonderful. I mean, I love that you, as a lawyer, like I think it's like what you just said, you having a disclaimer, like until you're hired, right? You're not really prone to just keep giving out legal advice, but you can give some framework, some guidance, etc. And in different ways, some people like to read it in a book, or some people like to have an interactive experience.
Right.
So I think that's brilliant that how you've been able to just, because I don't think that lawyers are easy to talk to, and so you seem very approachable.
You're right. A lot of times, and especially if you're not used to doing that, you're not used to being in a law office atmosphere, and you're not used to talking to lawyers. It can be very intimidating. So I was just trying in that chapter to say, do not be intimidated. This is your case, and you have to make the decision. That's what it is.
Wonderful, Dena. And I'm curious too, like, have you ever had an opportunity to dissuade someone from divorce, or is it pretty much if they've arrived at this point contacting you, they've made up their mind? Have there been cases where, they decided not to divorce?
Oh, I've had several cases. Well, I wouldn't say several. I've had a few cases where they would come and we would actually file. I had a couple of cases where we actually filed for divorce and then they reconciled. But I've had more that came to talk to me, and I would say, you need to talk to your husband or your wife or whatever, and see if you can't work this out, because it sounds like a communication problem to me. You're just not communicating very well. I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not going to take that on, but I'm not going to file for divorce until you're absolutely sure. And so, yeah. And I can remember one in particularly that went home and talked to her husband, and then came back again, and about maybe a week or 2 weeks later, I can't remember exactly, but told me that divorce was off the table. And thank you so much, because she would have filed if I hadn't have said, go home and talk to your husband. So I'm always happy when that happens, because my job's not to make people get divorced. Certainly no divorce lawyer wants to make people get divorced. I mean, it's just, but when it's inevitable and you can see that this person is serious about it and wants it very badly, then we should do it and get it done in the best way possible.
Wonderful, Dena. I'm so glad you shared that story. Yes, yeah, it's a good point to make. Now, you had mentioned briefly just now about the co-parenting, and you've got a new book, right? It's kind of in the works. Conscious co-parenting. Can you talk a
Yes.
little bit about that one too?
Well, our friend Mila, she has this program about writing a short book in a day. And so that's what we did. And I haven't gotten back to it since I did that with her that day, but I am going to do that. And we are going to be putting that out. But I haven't quite got that done yet. I have a few other things in the fire. So we're trying to get everything done here and get packed and everything all at the same time. So, but yeah, I just think, and I decided this after my daughter got divorced and she's co-parenting with her ex-husband for my granddaughter who's 9 years old. And I see the problems and issues that my daughter has gone through with this, and I'm constantly trying to help her, and I think we're at a good place now. So that's a good thing. But there's just a lot of issues that people deal with in co-parenting that you don't necessarily um, anticipate from day one. And my message in the book and in the course is that if you have children, you need to be preparing for the co-parenting from day one, because you don't want to get to the end of the divorce and then go, oh no, now I don't want to do this. Yeah, that's not how we want this to go. So it's something that you need to prepare for sure. And it's something that it takes a great deal of understanding and empathy to do it well, to co-parent well with your ex-spouse. And so if everybody works at it from that standpoint, I think they'll be much better off. That's what I would say.
Is that where the word conscious comes in? Because I was curious about that, because I thought, what makes it different from just co-parenting? Why the conscious part?
Well, conscious co-parenting means, to me at least, that I'm doing everything I do with, well, first of all, with your children in mind, because you want to do everything for them that is best for their best interest, right? And then you want to be purposeful about what you do and the decisions you make and the tweets that you send out and the emails that you send out and the conversations you have and that sort of thing. You want to know, you want to control your emotions to the point that you're not jumping on somebody or saying something out of the offhand that's not necessary. A lot of people I've noticed these days have trouble with that. They'll just say whatever comes into their little brain instead of thinking it through first. And that's what conscious co-parenting says to me.
Thank you for making that distinction too, Dena. So as readers are reading your chapter, what is one thing that you want them to walk away with? What are you hoping that they'll glean from your chapter?
Well, one thing that they could take from this is that it's never too late. Do what you want to do, because you're going to get older anyway. You might as well do it now. And that's what somebody told me when I was 35 and had not been to college. And I said, my God, I'm going to be, whatever age I thought I was going to be at that point when I get done. And somebody said, well, you're going to be that age anyway. You might as well just, go for it. So it took me a while to get the undergrad because I had 2 babies during that time. And then, but by the time I got out of law school at 41, they were, I don't know, 6 and 4, something like that. So I don't recommend going to law school with toddlers. It's not the best idea, but it can be done. I mean, there were several people in my class that had little kids like that. I mean, like a lot of people. So it certainly can be done. But yeah. Oh, and the thing that's the main thing is that I just wanted to say that you can do anything you want to do, and you just have to find the way to do it. I didn't come from a family that had a lot of money. My mother was a widow and she didn't have, money to send me to school. And I didn't know, when I was 18, I had no idea that they gave you scholarships and stuff like that. I did not know that because I was in South Arkansas with people that did not know to tell me that if they knew it. So anyway, it all worked out. And I think it worked out just like it was supposed to, truthfully. Because I went to law school at a time when I knew exactly what I wanted to do when I got out. I did not want to go to a big firm. I had already done that as a legal assistant, and I did not want to do that again. So I ended up, with Browning Pipestem, and it was just me and him and the secretary, and that was fine. So it worked out just perfect. And then I got my own firm at the right time when I married my husband that I have now. And so I really do think that things work out the way they're supposed to. I always tell my kids that anyway. So that'd be the biggest message I think to take from the story.
Wonderful, Dena. So I'm curious now, do you think you'll retire from divorce consulting? And
I
what
don't
is waiting for you after that?
Well, I don't know. I'm a little past the age of jumping from one job to another. I used to I used to say I change jobs every 2 years, whether I need to or not, but I don't do that now. But in fact, I think once I became a lawyer, that was the job. It didn't matter where I was, who I was working with, or whatever. But that was the thing. But yeah, I don't know what's going to be next. I guess we'll wait and see. I've got 2 or 3 books I need to write that I'm going to do, and I want to get the speaking thing, keep that going, and then we'll see what happens.
Excellent. Wonderful. Well, I'm so excited to be part of your journey, and I
Oh,
look forward to referring you to summits to speak. I'm sure Mila's already spoken to you about, Dr. L, the parent whisperer.
yes, I'm in that. We're doing the summit next Wednesday.
Oh, okay. So there you go, right? Because he's
Yeah.
very family centric, and so I think
Yes.
in the way you've been speaking just now, you'd fit right in with that particular group dynamic. So
Actually, that's the first place I have found really that my topic resonates with the audience. So because his audience is families and children and that sort of thing, and I don't fit in with the business people, and so I really appreciate Dr. L and the opportunities that he offers. Yeah, I really do. And I think the summit on Wednesday that's called the Health, Wealth, and Wisdom Summit is going to be very helpful for people. And there's like 50 or so speakers and 4 tracks of events, and so it's going to be quite the day, a long day. But I'm hosting one of the tracks, and so I'd love for you to tune in if you want to or can. That would be great.
that's the Health, Wealth, and Wisdom Summit.
Uh-huh.
And it's next Wednesday on the 26th. Okay, we'll put that on screen here. So look for Dena Nielson on this Health, Wealth, and Wisdom Summit on October 26th.
Starts at 11 o'clock Eastern.
October 26th at 11 a.m. Eastern. I love that because, the one part of the reason, like you said earlier, we write our books to get the message out there, to impart some wisdom, but then to use it further, right? Mila's always encouraging us to use it as a calling card. It becomes your flag for speaking. So I love the way she phrases it because it's very aspirational, right? Now you've got this flag, a proverbial soapbox, right, so to speak, to talk about your topic. And you're clearly a subject matter expert. It's just the way you present information, it's just a very logical manner. It's the lawyer in you.
It is, yeah. Well, you know what they say, if you're a lawyer, it's who you are, it's not what you do. I find that to be very true.
Awesome. And we can't wait to see more of your collaboration with Mila as you produce that book on the conscious co-parenting, etc. So I think, all of us are going to be with Mila for the long haul.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about that.
Right. So excellent. Well, Dena, thank you so much for your time this morning. In the midst of all your packing, I really, really appreciate you making the effort to come on here and joining us for lunch tomorrow. You're going to be our Vanna Nielson.
That's right. Dena Nielson will be in the house tomorrow.
So I'm looking forward to you doing a whole Vanna Nielson channeling because you're going to be in charge of spinning the wheel and announcing some amazing prizes and giveaways for everyone who participates in our live stream launch tomorrow. So make sure that you're a part of that. Please join our Facebook group if you haven't done so already. It is here on the screen. So it's the Cinderella Monologues. Meet the authors. It's a public Facebook group. Invite yourself, invite your friends and family and associates to come and join us celebrating these women authors and helping us with our Amazon launch. And stay tuned for just a very fun day full of surprises.
Yep. It's going to be good.
It is going to be fantastic. Good and fantastic. Awesome. Awesome. Oh my gosh. And if you're looking to get in touch with Dena, if you are someone that you know may benefit right from Dena's expert wisdom on divorce consulting, you can follow Dena here on her website. So I'm going to pop up the screen again. It's just denanielson.com. So please have a look there. And she's also on LinkedIn, so you can connect with her on LinkedIn. And then lastly, follow her on Facebook. So those are all the ways you can connect with Dena. And then look out for the summit next week. So she's going to be presenting on there as well, too. So Health, Wealth, and Wisdom on October 26th. Dena, it's been such a pleasure. I just love having you in our circle of Cinderella monologue writers. And we will see you soon.
I'm just so pleased and happy, Olivia. You make everybody happy anyway. And who doesn't love those glasses? I mean, come on. All righty. Thank you.
You're very kind, Dena. Thank you.
See you later.
See you later.